with us going forward to make all these dreams come true for Minnesota. So just a few minutes, I don't like to stand between us and lunch, but I just wanted to share with you the good news that there are core components of the work that, the opportunity that Blandon has to partner with you that will be available to all rural Minnesota communities. So these 9 communities we've introduced you today will be in a deeper relationship with us. But in addition to those 9 communities, we have a range of resources that will be available to all rural Minnesota communities. I'm going to quickly review them with you now. And so this is a big invitation to check out what's ways that we can partner and step alongside with you to help move the needle on those dreams and efforts that you're harboring in your hearts and minds and for your own communities. So we have, some of you have heard us in past conferences talk about the MERC project, Minnesota Intelligent Rural Community Project, which I'll remind you was one of the beneficiary of the stimulus grant. And we had been thinking about what was going to happen after MERC, and there are many of you here in the audience today were part of that collaboration around the MERC and sort of post-MERC work, what was going to be. We affectionately were thinking about that initially as MERC 2.0. Well, we have rebranded that to be, we're now calling it the Blandon Community Broadband Program. And that was an intentional reframing of the effort because as we heard from others of you, we've been in the community leadership business for many years, and we call that program the Blandon Community Leadership Program. And to acknowledge to ourselves in the world that leadership development around broadband technology is core to community vitality and vibrant communities, which is what we're all about. We're now talking about it in this new way, the Blandon Community Broadband Program. So that's AKA MERC 2.0, how we're going to be continuing to partner with you and others around rural Minnesota in support of broadband. I just wanted to remind us all that since we began this work and through the great contributions of the Blandon, the strategy board that have guided this effort, and I see Dan in the back of the room and Gary Evans who've helped with this, that this is the vision that has guided Blandon's involvement in the work, is to collaboratively with others to create this high quality of life and globally competitive future for its citizens. That's what it's all about. That's the so what part. That we want to help work with Minnesota communities to make sure that we're a world leader in the universal deployment and use of ultra-high-speed broadband. That's why we're all in this, doing this work together. And I wanted to share with you this map because it gives you a sense, since the 2003 when we began, the depth and breadth of the work that we've done across the state. Those 4s, 3s, and 2s are show that multiple efforts in those communities, over 60 communities, and partnering with over 80 organizations. It's been a lot of on-the-ground work, and some of the lessons learned. It was interesting for me to kind of crosswalk this with what we heard from Craig last night. You see a lot of the same points up here. It's hard. It takes time. Gird your loins, because this is not a one-off, you're going to get it done in 2 years kind of thing. It takes time. It takes tenacity. It takes stick-to-itiveness. It takes local champions. Those of you in the room, Ray, hats off to you. You're the folks that are doing the heavy lifting, making this come true. And it takes a focus that broadband is a means, not the end. It's a tool for problem solving. And I've often said to some of you, I can do this over again, I wouldn't call it the Broadband Initiative. It's not about broadband, it's about what you can do with the tool, and many of you echoed that back to the audience today. So it's the Live a Good Life Initiative. It's a Be Prosperous Initiative, because broadband is the means, not the end to that. And it takes partnerships. We got to do this together. So we are really thrilled to be positioned with our 9 communities and all of you to take these lessons back to Main Street across Minnesota. So as we continue our work in the Blandon Community Broadband Program, we've gotten commitment from our governance, from our Board of Trustees to commit another $1.5 million over the next 2 years for this work. some of which will be spent in the Blandon Broadband Community Program with those 9 partners you just were introduced to, and some of it in projects and investments will be available to the rest of rural Minnesota. One thing we are carrying forward from our Minnesota Intelligent Rural Community Project, the MERC project, is this framework of a way to think about the role of technology in economic development. Bill called that conversation yesterday part of our open space, and we have had such good feedback, and this seems to have really been helpful to champions for economic development and community development across the state, that we're taking this framework forward into the work. And it's a way of thinking about broadband as a component of the whole picture. So you've got the infrastructure, broadband itself, and knowledge workforce to use and utilize that network, creating conditions for innovation, marketing advocacy, recognizing this as a real asset that you can bring home to your residents and those you want to know about your community, and then addressing those digital and inclusion challenges. So those are the 5 areas, the 5 pillars we think of that we're going to be trying to support through the programs that we will make available to all of you in the audience and your cohorts. So we've just been introduced to the new Blandon Broadband communities, the 9 communities. In addition to that, in your packet, and here's where the nitty-gritty details are, I call out, there's this handout that describes the various community project grants, and I'll go through them in just a little bit more detail in the next slide, but that's a component of it, these grants. We're also able to bring to the table technical assistance and leadership support through community coaching and mentoring. We do work with our strategy board on policy development and advocacy. Meetings like this and others around the state, you've heard reference to the East Central meeting that we had last week that's already ginning up a lot of good energy. And information support. Here I want to give a shout out to Ann Tracy, who is our web mistress and overall smart librarian type. If you need, I really love librarians, and having a former librarian on our team is just endlessly helpful to us, Ann. The 9 communities that we just introduced to, we're going to do some research and benchmarking and baselining with them so they can document to themselves and others what difference their work is making. Planning and technical assistance, goal setting, where are we now, where do we want to be, what's it going to take to get there. And this opportunity to apply for what we're calling community grant projects. And those grant programs are also going to be available to all of you. And here they are. Here's a quick rundown. And again, there's more detail on this in your packet. The Digital Inclusion Community Partnership. You recall that one of those 5 pillars from the Intelligent Community Framework is around bridging the digital divide, and how interesting this morning to hear about the fracturing of that divide and how it's showing up differently across different communities. But this is a grant program that provides devices, training, and access for those without, and encourages and rewards communities for partnering with providers to address the digital gap. Then there's a body of grant funds available for the Robust Network Feasibility Fund. Those communities that are looking at what their options might be. It's hard sometimes to go to your county boards and get them to invest in studies and feasibility studies, but we all know that's a critical first step to getting off the dime, and so we're here to help mitigate that risk and make that easier for you champions to make that pitch to your local officials about why they need to take those first steps. So the Robust Network Feasibility Fund. The Lightspeed Grant Program, this is a way to resource and demonstrate the benefits of applications. So in the funding that we've done so far, we've seen this particularly used in educational and healthcare delivery settings. So application development and applying and implementing application. Cool apps on your fast networks. And then finally, this last bucket, Broadband Innovation Grants, has got a big sieve at the top. This is wherever you're at, help us help you, what you need, what are your ideas kind of a bucket. flexible fund, so with priority projects. So that hopes to be a big fat front door for you to come to us and say, here's something cool we want to do that's broadband related in our community, and we'll shake hands with you in that work. And so, looking forward, today we had our public announcement. These community project grant applications that we've just highlighted to you will be released at the very end of this year or in January. Some guidance and sort of general information about them are up on our website now. The applications themselves will be there by the end of the year. We expect that first round of applications to be due in February, early February, awards in March, and then there will be a second round in June. This is a lot of information. It's all out there on the web. But I just wanted to make clear before we go to lunch that we're delighted to have this intensive relationship opportunity with the 9 communities to whom we were all introduced today, with the doors open to the rest of you in rural Minnesota to continue to partner with us as well. So with that, I think I'm just going to invite those of you with questions to find any of us on our team. Seek us out. We look forward to hearing from you.